Hello, I'm Shane Plymell, CEO for Shannon, and joining me today is Dr. Doug Schultz, Chief Medical Officer for Shannon Clinic. And really, Shannon and myself and Doug, we're very excited that we actually received our first allotment vaccine last week from Pfizer. And per the CDC and state guidelines, we have started to distribute that vaccine to both healthcare workers and first responders. We're also excited about this week because through a partnership with CVS and Walgreens, with the state as well as the federal government, they will start dispensing vaccine to nursing homes and long-term acute care facilities. We generally don't know yet when the vaccine will be available to the general public. We're hoping that will be soon. In the meantime, we know a lot of you have questions about the vaccine. So Doug, thanks for joining me here today. And I know you and I have worked a long time together, and I value your opinion. That's why I wanted you here with me today. But in vaccines, tell me a little bit about vaccines, because vaccines have been around a long time.
Yes, sir. Well, thanks for having me, first of all. But yeah, the history of vaccines is really fantastic, and people forget that vaccines have wiped out smallpox, polio, measles, that used to devastate large populations back in the day. I myself was one of the first, as a kid, to receive a polio vaccine. So there's a long history, and it saved a lot of lives, and that includes flu vaccine as well.
There's a lot of different types of vaccines. Can you talk a little bit about what the differences are?
You know, the main way vaccines have been made in the past is you get an injection of either a virus particle or actually live virus that's been altered so it won't infect you, and then that stimulates your body to provide immunity. That's pretty much the standard of way vaccines have been done in the past.
I noticed that in particular with the COVID-19 vaccines, that people are a little nervous. Can you talk a little bit about that and why people are so hesitant about taking the vaccine?
There are some people that are nervous about it. I think mainly because it's so new, and this first round of vaccine is definitely a new technology. It's never been used before for vaccines, but the theory behind it is excellent, and it's really quite elegant how it's been designed. And I think the FDA has really studied this carefully and feel that it's safe for people to take.
What are some of the safety precautions around this vaccine? And two, can you talk a little bit about some of the side effects of the vaccine?
Well, first of all, the vaccine in the study group, which was over 40,000 people, proved to be very safe. Everyone tolerated the vaccine very well. First of all, it was very effective, over almost 95% effective in preventing infection by COVID. So that's outstanding results in the study group. The side effects were actually, we would consider minimal. Sore arm, muscle aches, fatigue, headache, occasionally a fever. Most of the time, all that resolving within 24 hours, maybe 48 hours at the most. So really, those are considered pretty mild side effects.
Do some people have any type of allergic reaction to the vaccine?
Since the vaccine has gone into larger groups of people, there have been a few people having what's called an anaphylactic reaction, and that means they begin to have a little bit of their throat tightens up a little bit, but that's easily treatable with epinephrine and Benadryl. So far everyone's done well, and this has been very, very tiny number of people in the scheme of things of how many vaccines have been given. So it's no more than any other vaccine that would be given.
You know, this when you look at the Pfizer and the Moderna vaccine, you get to have 2 doses. And when do you really become immune to the virus?
Yeah, great question. The first dose, probably within a few weeks, provides about 50% immunity. The second dose, which is 21 days later with Pfizer and 28 days later with Moderna, about 1 to 2 weeks after that, then you're up to 95% immunity. So it's pretty good, pretty quick.
I get this question a lot, and I think you do too. If you've had have had COVID-19 in the past and recovered, do you really need to get the vaccine?
Yes, that CDC has come out with a recommendation that you should go ahead and take the vaccine if you've had COVID. Unless you're acutely ill at the time, then you need to wait till that part's over, and then you can take the vaccine. The reason for that is there have been cases of people getting a second infection with COVID. So the advice right now is to go ahead and take the vaccine. If you want to wait 90 days, some people would say that's fine and that's certainly okay, but there's no contraindication to getting the vaccine during that time period.
If people have had the vaccine, should they still wear a mask and social distance?
Yes, if you had the vaccine, we still recommend continuing all the same precautions that we always have. Wearing a mask, social distance, good hand washing, all the things we've been trying to do. And again, the reason behind that is while the vaccine is very, very effective, it's not 100% effective, it's 95%. So obviously you don't know if you're in that 5%, so you want to continue to protect yourself.
Can you talk to, there's a lot of myths about the vaccine. Can you talk about some of that?
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to describe a little bit how it works because it's very new and I believe it's very interesting in my opinion. So the way this works, everybody's seen a picture of the COVID the COVID virus, where it has the spikes coming off the ball, right? So you see those spikes sticking out, and that's how it attaches to our body and affects us. So what these new vaccines called mRNA do is there's a tiny amount of RNA, which is like a little blueprint that gets injected into you. That goes into a cell, which then makes little spikes. So the cell of your body will actually make some of these tiny spikes, not the virus, but little spikes. So then our normal immune system recognizes the spikes and builds immunity to those spikes. So if a real virus ever was to come along, then you have a memory, so to speak, of those spikes, and you're able to attack that virus and knock it out. So it's really, really a really interesting way to immunize somebody, it's basically letting your own body protect yourself, because we do have very strong immune systems for the most part, humans. And so it's harnessing the power of our immune system to do that. So some of the myths that go along with that is, one I've heard is that it injects a microchip into you, which is false. It's no microchip. It's just a small amount of RNA. And by the way, this RNA will degrade in about 2 days. So it's actually gone from your body in just a couple of days. So just during that few days, it's able to form the little spikes that we need for our body to protect ourselves. Another myth is that it's made from fetal tissue or some sort of animal tissue. That's, again, not true. This is actually manufactured in a lab and does not require any type of cells or any type of tissue to grow in. It's just manufacturing RNA. So that's another one we've heard. And then another myth we've talked about a little bit already is that they rushed this vaccine to the market, and so it hasn't been fully tested. Again, not really true. This vaccine has actually been worked on for many years. They were working on it with what's called the SARS virus and the MERS virus, which you may remember was about 10 years ago. It wasn't a pandemic like this, but it was a little bit of an epidemic. And so they were already working on this technology, and they just simply pivoted to COVID away from the SARS. And so it's not that new. It's just this is the first time a vaccine like this has come to market.
Dr. Schultz, I know being a doctor, you actually received the vaccine, correct?
Yes, sir.
Can you kind of walk me through the process?
Yes, I got my vaccine last week on Tuesday. So the process was pretty easy, just like any other, like getting a flu shot. It was right in my arm. They give you a little card that is a card produced by the CDC, which tells what kind of vaccine and when I got it and when my next one is due. And then I can carry that around with me if I have to ever show anyone. You can't mix and match vaccines. So if you get the Pfizer vaccine, you got to get the next round Pfizer. You can't take a Moderna one and mix and match, and vice versa. So that's important. My arm was a little bit sore for a day or two after I got the vaccine. Like I worked out, but that's about it. I didn't have any other side effects, so it was pretty nice. There is an app that's really nice that the CDC has given out, and it basically texts me every day, and then I reply with any symptoms I may or may not have, and that gives them information. It's anonymous, by the way. They don't have anything but my phone number, and then that gives the CDC information on all the people who are getting a vaccine, which will help them in the future.
I know there's the Pfizer vaccine and the Moderna vaccine, and I think there's other vaccines coming. Can you kind of talk a little bit about that?
Yes, there are other vaccines. The Pfizer and Moderna are the same technology, the messenger RNA that I described earlier. There's slight difference in the way they were produced with the lipids that are around them. So the Moderna vaccine doesn't require the super cold storage that the Pfizer. It just has to be in a regular freezer. So that will be a lot easier on logistics as far as getting it out. The other thing is it's 28 days till the second vaccine instead of 21 days. There's just slight difference in the two. The next ones coming along are AstraZeneca and Johnson & Johnson. Those are completely different technologies. They are using a live, it's called an adenovirus, which is a type of virus that infects I think AstraZeneca is using a human adenovirus, and Johnson & Johnson is using a simian adenovirus. And these viruses have been altered so they can't infect you, but they, again, bring the material to your body so that you can produce immunity. This is a more standard way to give a vaccine, like I described, like vaccines in the past. So it's a recognized technology, and those are still in the process of the initial studies, so they're not ready yet for use, but it probably won't be too long before they're approved.
You know, I know on the Pfizer and Moderna, you have to take the one dose and then the second dose follows some time period after that. I imagine it's extremely important that those that get the first dose get the second dose.
Yeah, it's very important to get the second dose to get the full benefit. If you just get the one dose, you're only going to get about halfway there. So you really want to get both doses to get full immunity and benefit from the vaccine.
Thank you, Dr. Schultz, for helping us with answering all those questions. Really appreciate your time. I think the last 10 months have been extremely challenging for all of us, and I'm really excited about having the vaccine here in our community, and really excited about being able to vaccinate healthcare workers and our first responders. As we know more about the availability of the vaccine to the general public, we will be posting information on our Shannon website. We really feel that we're at a point that with the vaccine that we're going to start rounding the corner, and during this time period, I think it's just important that we continue to wear a mask and social distance until the vaccine is readily available to the general public. Again, we'll be sharing information on our website. Until we talk again, please stay safe. Thank you.